Run it back, nation. What is good? Thank you for being here. My name is DJ Eastwood. This is Run It Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys. Never had an intro. I am under the weather right now, so if I sound a little congested or whatever, that's what's going on, okay? The changing of the seasons has hit me like a freight train, and today has been the worst of it, but things get worse before they get better. Find the beauty in the pain. Yeah, the Sixers have a new signing. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Lester Quinones. First of all, anybody named Lester is a dog. I know that from history. Okay. And we're going to talk about training camp coming up next week. Some matchups that I think are interesting going into training camp. I think we have one of the most interesting training camps coming up because there's a lot of new faces. There's a lot of depth. You know, a lot of times training camp is a little bit predictable. This is more like we've been talking all summer. Who's going to start? What are the lineups going to be? So there's going to be a lot of competition in training camp. Okay, and then we're going to talk about the Sixers' preseason schedule and all of those type of things. Also, before we get out of here, and at the end of this video, there's some screenshots of the Sixers players at practice, and they seem to be having a blast. And we're going to look at some of those. So. Stay tuned, okay? Give me 1 million likes on the video. Subscribe if you're brand new. And let's get down to business, man. Here you go. Free agent guard Lester Quinones has agreed to a two-way NBA deal with the Philadelphia 76ers, sources tell The Athletic. This is from Shams and only Shams because Woj retired. R.I.P. Woj. We now have Shams and only Shams. Well, we also have... our favorite lunch lady. I forget her name. There you go. Lester Quinones signs a two-way deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Quinones averaged 4.2 points, 10 minutes over 41 games for the Warriors over the last 2 seasons and will now compete for a roster spot. Now, the people on the outside, or you know, people that don't really are not sickos. You know, by the way, runitbackphillyshop.com. Get all your sickos merch before the season starts. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, all that stuff. I designed the logo. If you don't have some of this stuff by now, what are you really doing? People from the outside, those that are not sickos, will see something like this and say, "Who?" You know, and they won't care. And then they'll look at 4 points per game and say, "Oh, this guy's a bum. Who gives a shit? He's not even going to play." But I'm here to tell you that's not necessarily the case, because I remember specifically last year a game against the one and only Philadelphia 76ers. Where Lester Quinones kind of gave us buckets. You know, and I remember saying at one point, because I'm pretty sure the Warriors were playing without Steph at the time, and maybe without Clay, but they were struggling. Or maybe it was the year before when they had all the injuries and they barely snuck into the play. I don't remember. Time every year, I don't even know what year it is. Is it 2023? Is it 2025? I don't know. My inspection was out for like 2 years because I didn't know it was 2024 yet. What I'm saying is that there was a time where I saw this Warriors team and I saw Lester Quinones giving us buckets. And I remember saying it on a live stream, maybe on a post-game live, something. I was going through their roster and I said, why can't the Sixers ever find guys like this? These young, 21-year-old, 6'5" guys who can dribble, pass, and shoot, who can come out, you know, can get buckets. And since then, the Sixers have made some big signings in the offseason. But it's kind of something I've always said about the Sixers, is that they never find these guys. They always have these one-dimensional players who can play good defense but can't dribble a basketball, or can shoot a three but can't do anything else on the other side of the floor. So Lester Quinones just happened to be one of those guys that I was talking about after that Warriors game. And I think I was saying that because I was watching him play and he was doing a lot of really good things and he was doing multiple things on the floor. You know, he's 6'5". He has a really quick trigger. His catch and shoot three is really good form. He's a movement shooter. You know, he's not even like a Klay Thompson type of spot up shooter. He's a movement shooter. He can shoot corner, wing, top of the key, around a screen, etc. I don't know how he is defensively, but you know, here he is. Here's his little bit of information about him. 6'5", 208. He's 23 years old now. He went to Brentwood High School. He debuted in the NBA March 31st, 2023. But I thought he had promise, and I thought the Warriors were building a core of Podziemski and Kuminga and Quinones. And honestly, Warriors fans were very high on Quinones the last 2 years. And so I didn't even know he was a free agent. I didn't even know he was released by the Warriors or whatever. I didn't really know he was still out there the whole offseason to just get signed with a couple days before training camp to a two-way deal. So tells how much I know, basically. I thought the dude had some serious potential, and an NBA team, the Warriors, were like, nah, we don't, go ahead and if somebody else wants to sign you, that's fine, whatever. So maybe there's something there that the Warriors definitely don't like about him. But I thought he had at least some really good intangibles and good size and a good quick trigger three. When I saw him play against the Philadelphia 76ers last year, a couple of Warriors games I watched that he was a part of. And so just another versatile young player for the Sixers to add to training camp. I think that's a great signing. I think that's great. That's a player that can compete for deep rotational minutes. I think he'll be competing with guys like Ricky Council and Yabusele and Jared McCain and guys like that for deep rotational minutes. So give me all your thoughts in the comments about the Quinones signing, what you think about it, if you have any information or an opinion on Quinones as a basketball fan, if you watched the Warriors last 2 years, and give me all your thoughts in the comments. Warriors fans were pretty high on him last year. And so I actually found the game that I was talking about. He had 13 points and 4 3-pointers against the Sixers. That is probably a career high. Who doesn't have a career high, against the Philadelphia 76ers at this point? Even Lester Quinones has a career high. But yeah, so I scrolled down to the comment section on this video, and it's all from Warriors fans last season, saying things like, Kerr finally gave all Corey Joseph's minutes to Lester Quinones. The confidence, I think they meant, of this kid is on another level. He's why the Warriors didn't hesitate on trading Jordan Poole. Warriors fans thought Lester Quinones was a direct Jordan Poole replacement. Finally, I don't know what took so long to play him. Jordan Poole 2.0, but better defender. Big facts in the response. Jordan Poole Jr., Jordan Poole 2.0. So Warriors fans were huge on Lester Quinones. I guess Steve Kerr wasn't huge on Lester Quinones. And I guess Warriors fans were probably maybe upset to see him walk and sign somewhere else. So, just from watching him, I thought he had some potential and some good intangibles, and clearly Warriors fans thought highly of him as well. So there's the Lester Quinones signing. Give me all of your opinions on it. We are going to talk about Sixers training camp coming up, some of the matchups I'm looking forward to, and some other things right after this. This is brought to you by Game Time Ticket app. Go to Game Time Ticket app or go to gametime.co and use the promo code CLNS for $20 off. Here is the Eagles versus the Buccaneers this upcoming Sunday, and here's what Game Time does for you. They sift through all of the tickets in the entire stadium. Every ticket available, Game Time sorts through, so you don't have to. And they give you, look, cheapest seat in the house, $95 right there if you happen to be in Tampa Bay, Florida. Then they have things like flash deals, and they have these starred ones that are called great deals, okay? And then sometimes there's one that's called the best deal. I don't think that one's on here. But Game Time does the work for you so you don't have to, okay? So take the guesswork out of buying NBA and NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thank you to Game Time for continuing to sponsor the channel. Shout out to my guy, Jacob Moreno. And I want you guys to give me all of your opinions in the comments on, what matchups you're looking forward to in Sixers training camp. Again, I think with all of the signings the Sixers made this offseason, this is going to be one of the most interesting training camps we've seen in a long time. You know, past years training camp kind of predictable. You had the starters, you had some signings, but I don't feel like you had a lot of signings who were potentially competing with each other last season. You know, because I thought some of the signings were dog shit, like Mo Bamba, for example. Now the Sixers made what I think is a lot of high quality signings. And a lot of players are going to be fighting for minutes, and there's really two main, I won't say positions, but two main parts of the roster that I think are going to have high competition at Sixers training camp. And so just looking at the roster right here, shout out to my guy, Jacob Moreno. Sixers roster heading into training camp: Adem Bona, Ricky Council, Andre Drummond, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Eric Gordon, Reggie Jackson, Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin, KJ Martin, Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Kelly Oubre Jr., Gershon Yabusele, or Yabu, as they call him in Europe. And the two ways are Jeff Doughton, Justin Edwards, and Lester Quinones. I'm even big fans of our two-way contracts. You know, I know last year you guys liked that little three-point shooter, but I was like, bro, he can't play in the NBA. He's too small. I'm even a fan of all three of the two-way contracts the Sixers have. So the competitions that I'm looking forward to in Sixers training camp, I would say, first of all, and this might be a hot take, but I watched Adem Bona in the summer league, all right? And I went through all of his college tape, and I think there's going to be serious competition for the backup center position between Adem Bona and Andre Drummond. Because I think Andre Drummond's a better rebounder. Andre Drummond's the best rebounder in the league by a landslide. His per 36 is 18. The next closest guy is like 12 or 13 per 36. But defensively, you don't see much from Andre Drummond defensively. You know, you don't ever see really some big-time Andre Drummond highlight blocks or things like that. I would say defense is probably a weakness of Andre Drummond at that position, especially with his size and being known as a rebounder. I would say rim protection isn't his strongest suit. I'm not saying he's terrible at it, but it's not his strongest suit. I think Adem Bona is an absolute monster as a rim protector. And if you don't believe me and you haven't done your research yet, just go watch some Adem Bona tape. This dude just swats layups into the damn upper deck, you know, and he tracks the ball. He loves blocking shots. He's very aggressive. So I do think there's going to be some competition for the backup center spot between Adem Bona and Andre Drummond. And Drummond's probably going to get most of those backup minutes. But there could be definitely matchups, I think, where maybe Bona plays backup center versus Andre Drummond. Again, that might be a hot take. Let me know what you think of that in the comments. Another competition I think that I'm going to look for in training camp is Ricky Council, you know, fighting for minutes, because we all thought Ricky Council should have gotten playoff minutes last year. We all saw what Ricky Council did in some of those regular season games, especially watching players who refused to be physical. Tobias Harris. We thought Ricky Council was the plug and play option, literally in place of a guy who was a cardboard cutout when things got heated. You know, so I think Ricky Council's really going to be fighting for minutes this year. I think Nick Nurse is really going to be more willing to give him the minutes this year. I think that's definitely why they re-signed him before the summer league started. So I'm looking at Ricky Council fighting for minutes against, I mean, I don't think KJ Martin's really fighting for minutes against anybody. Maybe as a defender, so maybe there's a battle there with KJ Martin. But I'm thinking Andre Drummond, I'm thinking Ricky Council, I'm sorry, is fighting for minutes against Kelly Oubre Jr., Gershon Yabusele, and maybe even Caleb Martin to an extent. But I do think Ricky Council is battling Kelly Oubre for minutes this season. I think they have a lot of similarities as far as athletic ability, physicality, relentlessness, the way they attack the rim, the way they enjoy confrontation on the floor and sometimes off of the floor. Yeah, that's what I think. These are going to be some battles. We gotta. It's all a good thing. We got a lot of good players, a lot of physical players who are going to be playing, for minutes. So I'm looking forward to the Ricky Council thing. And then I think last is really Eric Gordon is really the only shooting guard on the roster. Really, I guess Jared McCain also. But I don't think Jared McCain's really going to work his way into rotational minutes this season on this Sixers team. I think they're too deep and too versatile, and I think he's too raw right now, especially what we saw in the Summer League. But I'm going to say maybe biggest competition of Sixers training camp is the point guard position, because nobody really knows what's going on. We don't know if Tyrese Maxey is the starting point guard again. We don't know if Nick Nurse is going to choose to run Tyrese Maxey in more of a playmaking shooting guard role like he did last year when he had Kyle Lowry starting, because it helps Tyrese Maxey, get downhill and be more of a scorer, which I think is the position that he should be in. I think Tyrese Maxey is going to just take off like a rocket ship this season, with defenses focusing on Joel Embiid and now Paul George and others. And if Tyrese Maxey picks up where he left off in that Knicks series, he could become a superstar, and I really mean that. So it's interesting to think about what Nick Nurse is going to do as far as, is Tyrese Maxey a point guard? Is he a shooting guard? We don't know. But also, I guess you could call it the backup point guard minutes or point guard rotational minutes, whatever. But it's going to be Kyle Lowry versus Reggie Jackson in that slot, and Reggie Jackson being a little bit younger, I would say having more of a scoring punch left in his game, more than Kyle Lowry does at this point. I would say he has more speed, ball handling, creation off the dribble, things like that at this point in his career versus what Kyle Lowry can do at 49 years old. But Kyle Lowry is one of Nick Nurse's favorite people ever. So it will be interesting to see. I don't want to predict negativity, but I could see situations where Kyle Lowry's struggling, Sixers fans are screaming, where the fuck is Reggie Jackson, and Nick Nurse being a little bit stubborn. Because, me and my guy, Mike Sports Vibes, last week talked about it a little bit. Nick Nurse does have that stubbornness that Doc Rivers had, and really all big-time winning coaches have. Probably rightfully so. But anyway, I think the most interesting competition in training camp is probably, does Reggie Jackson beat out Kyle Lowry for the backup point guard position? Or is Tyrese Maxey a shooting guard, Kyle Lowry's a starting point guard, and Reggie Jackson's a backup point guard? I don't know. But there's what I think is interesting. Anything else you guys think is interesting heading into training camp? Let me know. Monday is media day. Tuesday is day one of training camp, and we get the ball rolling. And man, I can't wait. The month of September has absolutely sucked. It's the most boring time of the year. I can't stand it. Here we are. The Sixers have announced their preseason opener versus the New Zealand Breakers. Who? On October 7th. I was informed that Jonah Bolden is on that team. So October 7th in Philly will be their preseason opener. And there's the video of Yabusele Duncan. I have high hopes for Yabusele, man. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this upcoming season and in Sixers training camp. And, on the Sixers Twitter page, just some fun photos. Tyrese Maxey standing in front of everybody with a gold chain. We got Andre Drummond wearing an inflatable eagle costume. The vibes are very high right now. Give me all your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Thanks for tuning in. Media day is on Monday. Training camp starts on Tuesday. I'll see you guys soon, man. Peace.